Hello, welcome to Movie Musters, FLIPMOD, Evaluation of Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, Episode 2 of Season 3. Will Raq ever be permitted to go? If there's one thing Power Book 3, Raising Kanan Season 3 Episode 2 has taught us, it's that she's not quite out yet. So it seems like we've been asking ourselves that question the entire season. And as long as she has enemies, she will constantly be playing the game. I like little time jumps, and since Power Book 3, Raising Kanan Season 3 Episode 1 picks up right after the previous finale, I believe a 2-week gap will help the characters get settled and provide us with a clear image of where they are right now. It appears to be just two adults having fun for the time being. But I know there was a lot of talk about Raq and Unique's connection after the premiere. Although Raq and Unique have a long history of rivalry, their activities are unrelated to business. No one is trying to stab someone in the back by tricking them or by getting inside their heart. In this specific instance, none of them can learn anything from the other. While it's unlikely that Ra has ever looked exactly as happy as she did while sharing some ice cream with Unique, we have witnessed her occasional domestic moments with Symphony. When the two are alone together, their intense chemistry and tension really come through. Even though I've concluded that Raq and Unique aren't dating at the moment, Unique's relationship with Pernissa has caused me to have a biased opinion of him. He's obviously trying to have his cake and eat it, which will eventually come back to haunt him. It consistently does so. But once Stefano's men kidnapped Raq and Unique, Raq was given a command that she had to carry out his nasty crime. It's funny to watch Raq come out as gay and expect very little backlash. Joaquin felt fortunate to be apart from Juliana, but Stefano wasted no time in informing her that he would have no trouble helping someone else take her out for no cause at all if she didn't support him. Raq, so you want me to kill Sal because you're too scared to take care of yourself and your goobers. Stefano, you also hope he doesn't survive. We're on the same team here. Stefano is an interesting enemy because he seems to be mainly focused on business and deflecting attention from himself. He is clever and calculating. Besides which, he wanted Baselli out of the way before he could hurt anyone else. Raq is prepared to work hard when needed, but a task involving the assassination of a criminal boss is above her skill set and would require preparation on both sides. Marvin is Raq's go-to guy now, which is amazing considering that he gets in the way of Lou-Lou and Raq. Marvin's development has been the most noteworthy of all the characters in the series thus far. He learned a lot from those anger management courses, so even though he had to be forced to go, it may have been one of the best things he's ever done. Now that he's calmed down considerably, he acts with much more thought. Perhaps most significantly, he tries. He pays attention to what people have to say, listens to them, and doesn't just jump headfirst into something terrible from which he will never be able to escape. Rather than siding with Lou-Lou, he lets him go through what he's going through for Raq. Lou-Lou is determined to overindulge in alcohol consumption as a way to dull his pain over his sister's separation, the demise of his business, the termination of his personal relationship, and his overall disdain for his current situation. Is Marvin capable of handling more responsibility? Yes, but there's a lot Lou-Lou can do right now despite his intransigence. Having no one to turn to for help when it comes to anything, Marvin has required someone else to look out for him. Raq and Demo showed their faces. Actually, the plan to assassinate Baselli was never one that should have been implemented. Even though Marvin's escape looked improbable given how close he was to pulling the trigger, it was nonetheless an incredible experience. Marvin's choice to dress like a mailman was essentially his only means of making such intimate approaches to people during the day, and it worked out well. But now that he's got what he wanted, does anyone believe Stefano will be content to let the past with Raq go? Perhaps he will, but the fact that he didn't think she could stay out and that he didn't necessarily want her says that he doesn't think she can. That was his first question to Unique when he went by for that chat. Kudos to Unique for turning misfortune into a chance to collaborate with Stefano by being in the wrong location at the right time to get seen by Raq. Again, Stefano comes across as a businessman, and even though he and Unique had a difficult start, he didn't rule out the prospect of working together. Seeing if Unique can make a name for himself in the Mafia will be interesting to watch. Watching how Ronnie fits into all of this will also be interesting. As they incorporate Ronnie into the larger scheme, they are allocating him more time and attention. At the moment, he's just a terrifying presence to Pernissa, sipping his oatmeal, pressing his clothes, and made her lack comfort. The steady build with Ronnie is working for them right now, but they need to be careful not to let it go on too long. Despite the fact that Ronnie and Unique are quite different from one another, their current power differential keeps any rivalry between them from becoming very significant. I wish we had known more about Ronnie before he went to jail since it looks like he only has Unique in his life. Although he gives off the impression of being someone you shouldn't mess with, not much else is known about him. Although they're putting him in this situation to get revenge on the doorman who mistreated him, they also make it more difficult for us to see him as a strong opponent because of his inability to resist anyone. Unique seemed to want to shield him, even though he also seems very wary of him. This is potentially the most interesting story being braided at the moment, with a ton of potential. It speaks something about the quality of the show overall and how engaging this hour was that we have reached this point in the review without talking about Malcolm Howard in any way. Howard had killed Burke in cold blood and then staged his suicide, but not before dressing convincingly in a mask and posing as his distraught ex-partner to give a heartfelt eulogy at his funeral. Burke was sincerely seeking justice and proving herself worthy of wearing the shield, which ultimately led to her death. Thus, most of what he said about her was accurate. People are so unwilling to even consider the prospect that Burke might be speaking the truth. It's ridiculous. Baptiste let Adna say simply, "Thank you for meeting with me," before cutting her off completely. Howard will never be able to kill Adna, so what will he do if she keeps trying? A task team is forming in the precinct, so Howard won't be the only one concerned about Adna. They also have a mole near the scene of the activities. Power Series adore task forces, I'll say it again. They were also long overdue, since there hasn't been one since Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. A task force is definitely bad news for Howard overall, given his connections to Raq and Kanan. But it also gives him a chance to acquire intelligence and possibly even divert the operation from where he would wish it to go. We have no doubt that Howard, like Raq, would act when called upon, and that call will come since Baselli's murder will further heighten the FED's investigation and ultimately point them in Raq's direction. Fame, everyone is working really hard. All we have to do is find ours. While Kanan was looking for the next challenge earlier in this busy hour, we're starting to see some of his Kanan skills show through. Because he has always had a strong sense of intuition. He didn't just go for the money when Paul offered him a job as a courier. He made inquiries, gathered information, and then worked out how to apply this knowledge. It's great to witness Kanan transform into Kanan, even though adult Kanan Stark is the worst. Kanan continues to prepare 5 steps forward, despite the fact that he and Famous are experiencing financial troubles. While it may be important at times to make quick money, is this really the greatest way to set yourself up for long-term success? That is rather Raq of him, if you will. Kanan would do well to start with a marijuana delivery method that may actually work. If he can do more than just smoke weed, he could become well known in the streets very quickly. And watch for what happens as Kanan starts to rely less on Raq. Since their relationship is already unstable and dangerously close to breaking down, Kanan discovering his own potential could be the final straw that separates them for good. Everything else you need to know. The scene of Baselli's baptism and the following gunfight gave me Godfather vibes. Nicole's father shouldn't keeping an eye out for Jukebox to be as beautiful as it is. Giving up the jukebox makes sense on the surface, as she was starting to associate it with a lot of unhappiness. But we didn't see her questioning herself too much until she showed up at Lou-Lou's and pretended to have had a change of heart. Lou-Lou's apology to Jukebox was a necessary action, and I'm grateful about it. It's also wonderful to see everyone offering her their sincere condolences for Kenya. All of the names Stefano came up with for Unique were ridiculous. Widespread use of the best one was required. Raq needs to be more visionary than to try to buy Kanan's affection. He obviously wants her to be completely honest and upfront with him, but he also doesn't think her viewpoint is the more mature one in this particular situation. She believes on defending him. Marvin would be wise to launch his little side venture. Ideally, he should bring Demo on board as they are an incredible team. There is a lot to consider as we continue reading this intriguing hour in the book. A fast start is only good news for the ongoing campaign. Kindly share your opinions about the hour in the comments section below. People, do not be timid. There's so much to discuss. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share videos to get more. I appreciate you for watching.